You believe the whole time like I did, right, folks? That's right. I believe the whole time. If the answer to that question is yes, I have a bridge in Brooklyn I want to sell you. Good evening and welcome back to the Phigtins Final here on the Edge of Philly Sports Network with your boy Matty B. Coming off of a win, a Phillies win in extra innings. And boy, did it kind of take us up and down the range of emotions throughout the entire game. The Phillies just once again anemic offensively through 8 innings, and then all of a sudden things just kind of sprung to life in that 8th inning. They got the game tied at 3, and then Matt Verling and his first ever 5-hit game knocks in the game-winning run in the bottom of the 10th inning to win 4-3. And I am just I'm very happy. I very unexpected win. I really kind of had this team uh, going down on its last count. So I got to be very optimistic, and I'm very proud of the way the team battled back. They showed some life in this thing. They showed that they're not dead yet, and this is a game, guys. Man, we needed it bad. We had that 5-game losing streak on our back. It needed to be broken. But this game through 8 innings still kind of went through the same recipe as just about every game this season, with the offense just not coming up with big hits. But in the 8th inning, they definitely came up with big hits. Four two-out base or two, yeah, four two-out base hits in a row to get them back in this thing at 3-3. And just a great night and a great win for the Phillies as they split the 2-game set with the Toronto Blue Jays, thus ending their 5-game winning streak, pushing the record to 81-67. And because of the result of the Brewer win tonight, remain 2.5 games ahead of the Brewers. The Padres are currently playing as we speak out there on the West Coast. So nothing really to update on that, other than the fact that I can say with a very confident shadow of a doubt that the Phillies magic number is now down to 11 games. So 11 games is the magic number as more teams are clinching, and the Phillies definitely are looking for their spot in the postseason. And tonight is one of those games that you can build that momentum off. One of those games that you can say, you know what, we can hang with the big boys, and we need to push this thing all the way to the beginning or to the finish line. And tonight was definitely a good start in that process. Joe scores and says, "Great comeback win." I 100% agree with you. It was unexpectedly great. I was not. I thought this team was dead in the water. I did, and they proved me wrong, and that's great. Phillies win, way to go. Yes, yes, Walter. And I got something I want to say to you, Walter, here in a second. And then Star Wars 99 says that a great comeback. It was an awesome comeback. And kind of building off of both Walter and Star Wars there, when I built the promo for the show tonight, I led in with the blow pen returns. This is a term that Walter who's been kind of contributing all season long, coined the Phillies bullpen way back in like May when they were really struggling. We took the moniker off when they began their resurgence, and everybody kept hedging me to go back to that moniker lately. And I said, no, 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 I'm not going back there. But obviously, Sir Anthony Dominguez not really kind of doing much to his case or to the bullpen's case. I said, the heck with it. I'm going back to the bullpen tonight, and I did. But then as the Phillies fought their way back, I scrambled. I got rid of it. Obviously, with the extra innings, so I changed it to that. So, you know, this is not a this is not a there's still a lot more work to be done, and that's kind of what I want to say here before we get into some more of the show. Does this like relieve some of my anxiety? Yeah, for the night it does, until we go back at this tomorrow. Don't forget, we got the Braves coming in for 4 now, but this is a momentum builder. This is what they start. You know, that little pebble that rolls down the hill turns into a big ass avalanche. That's kind of how this stuff starts, and this you got to build from somewhere. And right now, the Phillies need every win they can get. 11 games now, their magic number to clinch a playoff spot in the NL East or the NL, and this is where you go. Now, when you look at the rest of the schedule for the Phillies, it is extremely user friendly. After they get through the Braves, but we got some Cubs, we got some Nationals, so the odds are on the Phillies' sides that they're going to win. But they're not going to be playing the Cubs and Nationals in the playoffs. They're going to be playing teams like the Blue Jays, teams like the Braves. They need to start winning these games and playing against these types of competition. And tonight, they battled. They were dead, man. They were dead. The dirt was being kicked over them, and then they came up big in the 8th inning. And what about Matt Verling? 5 for 5, 5 base hits, or 5 hits, and then of course he got the game-winning walk-off single in the bottom of the 10th to get the Phillies the win. And we can all breathe a sigh of relief. And Walter says the Phillies were eliminated mathematically, winning the division. Yes, boo. That's okay, Walter, because I eliminated them from the National League East competition yesterday myself. So, of course, I kind of just follow suit. On the show last night, I said I was done. I was done, and I gave up the hope. I gave up the dream that the Phillies would win the NL East. And now, obviously, I was backed up by math. So that's good stuff. Winning season tomorrow. Let's hope so. Star Wars. Steve says finally walked it off. Finally did, and finally got the win. Ellis, great win. Yep, all those things are true. And let's get to the line as we have a lot to talk about, and it's late, and I want to get through this. The Phillies would finish, or the Blue Jays, I should say, would finish on the night with 3 hits, 3 runs, 7 hits, and 2 errors. Phillies 4 runs, 12 hits, and an error, very costly error by Bryson Stott there. Remember that play? How it all went down for the in this game. It was a battle of the pitchers through 7 innings as as the Blue Jays and the Phillies. Kevin Gossman for the Blue Jays was dealing, and so was Noak Wheeler, the combination of Zach Wheeler and Noah Syndergaard for the Phillies, as those two pitched 6 innings combined, all shutout baseball by both teams. You got to be happy with Zach Wheeler's first return to action in over a month and a half. And you also got to be kind of optimistic about Noah Syndergaard coming out of the bullpen and really pitching well. Maybe we found something here. Maybe that's where he needs to be as we move into the postseason. I don't know, but a very good effort today by a bullpen game early on, I should say, a bullpen game. And as for the Blue Jays, Kevin Gossman went 6, very solid. But let's get to the scoring as it happened in the 8th. And this was not on Zach or Noak Wheeler Garden. This was on Sir Anthony, as he just came in and continues to struggle. Sir Anthony continues to struggle since coming back from his latest injury. Tonight, it was Vlad Guerrero who touched him for a 3-run shot in the 8th, and you kind of felt it. He was wild. He was walking people. You just kind of felt Sir Anthony was going to give up something big in that inning, and it happened. Again, I question a lot. I'm starting to question a lot of Rob Thompson's managerial decisions, and I know uh, you got to let a guy kind of work through his problems and kind of try to build confidence that way. But this is not the first time Sir Anthony has come out recently and just not had it. And he didn't have it tonight. And it was obvious early on. And when he got into that jam and you got Vlad Guerrero coming up, you might want to step back and potentially think about this a little bit. But they didn't. And Vlad Guerrero made them pay. Blue Jays go up 3-0. And all hope seemed lost. And then the Phillies actually in that 8th inning, the time Guerrero hit that home run, there was no outs. But a conglomeration of Sir Anthony, Nick Nelson, and David Robertson, kind of pitched their way around and got that inning over and into the 9th. But Sir Anthony didn't have it, and it was very obvious. Bottom of the 8th, though, here we come. JT would get things going in the bottom of the 8th with a solo shot to make it 3-1, and then Dalton Guthrie. Another big night for him, for the young man, would knock in Gene Segura to make it 3-2. And Kyle Schwarber, who then would knock in Dalton Guthrie to make it 3-3, and then miss narrowly of getting picked off of first base. I mean, how do you, get yourself in a situation, in that type of situation in the game where this was during the 2-out, hit bonanza, and then you could find yourself being picked off of first. Just a bonehead play by Schwarber. Thank God he got back. They reviewed it. There was really not a good angle on it. I don't think there was enough to overturn the call, but Schwarber was able to be secure at first base. But you just got to be better than that. Got to be better than that. Second night in a row, or actually, Matt Verlaine was picked off in this game tonight. So over the last 2 nights, the Phillies have made 3 very costly or potentially costly base running moves. Bryce Harper last night, I don't know what he was doing out there. And then 2 tonight. Then Matt Verlaine would get it going in the bottom of the 10th, and he would knock in Munoz to get the Phillies a 4-3 walk-off win in 10 innings. On the side of offensive numbers, Kyle Schwarber, a silent 1 for 5, but he did have that huge hit to tie things up in the 8th, was an RBI. Rhys Hoskins, 0 for 4. 0 for 4. Bryce Harper, listen, Bryce Harper, 0 for 5. Can somebody answer the question for me? What's going on? You got 0 for 9 in the 2-3 slots in your lineup. JT Realmuto, 2 for 5 with an RBI and a homer. Alec Bohm was 2 for 5 tonight. Bryce Assad, 0 for 4. Gene Segura, 1 for 3. Nick Maton, 0 for 2. Dalton Guthrie, 1 for 1. And my offensive player of the night, Matt Verlaine, 5 for 5 with the game-winning RBI in the bottom of the 10th inning. On the Blue Jays side of things, George Springer would finish 1 for 5 with a run. Vlad Guerrero 1 for 5, 3 RBIs and that home run. Bo Bichette 2 for 5, and Whit Merrifield was 1 for 3, and that was pretty much all the offense that really neither team could get going. As I said, pitching, Nowak Wheeler Garden, the combination of Zach Wheeler and Noah Syndergaard would actually combine to pitch 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs, and 5 strikeouts, and they didn't walk anybody. Jose Alvarado came in and pitched a clean inning. He did walk 1 and strike out 2, and then it all kind of came apart for Sir Anthony, who pitched the third of an inning, gave up 2 hits, 3 runs. It was 2 of them were earned. He did give up 2 walks and a homer. Nick Nelson, a half of inning with a walk and a strikeout, and David Robertson comes on and pitches a somewhat clean ninth inning, and then Andrew Bellotti, with the help of a Gene Segura diamond gem, web gem, whatever we called them back in the day, played out there at second base, bases loaded, screaming liner back up, makes the play, and then doubles out the runner on second base. Just a beautiful play by Segura to kind of get Bellotti out of a jam that we all seen that wasn't looking good at all. Kevin Gossman for the Blue Jays, 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. Tim Mesa, an inning, he gave up a hit, had a walk and 2 strikeouts. Garcia, a half an inning, 4 hits, 3 runs. They were all earned. Jordan Romero and then Adam Simber would also pitch for the Blue Jays. Simber will get the loss in this one, 10-6, and Bellotti gets the win, 4-3. And there you have it, folks. Phillies 4-3 winners in extra innings, and now it's time to bring on the Braves as we steam towards the final weekend of Phillies baseball here in 2022. And how is everybody feeling tonight? 81-67 now on the season. As I mentioned, the magic number is now down to 11. And are we feeling good? Are we feeling better? I don't know. So yeah, absolutely, Jacobo. It did definitely look like it was we were cooked. Zach Wheeler looked good. So let's talk a little bit about Zach Wheeler. I did think he looked good. His pitch count was a little up for me. I mean, I believe what was his pitch count in the 4 innings that he pitched? Let me look at this. Zach Wheeler, 58 pitches in 4 innings. That's a little up. That's obviously not good. You're not going to go deep in many games, but I got you. This was his first game back. You got to kind of temper your expectations. He did look well. His ball had a lot of velocity and a lot of movement. And then again, Syndergaard coming on behind him. And this is the new norm with this. This is going to be the Zach Wheeler, Noah Syndergaard. As I mentioned, that this is it. This is whenever time Zach Wheeler's pitching, Syndergaard's going to come in for him. And the Nowak Wheeler Garden, this is it. This is the new pitcher we got. So they look good though. They look good as a duo. How about Verling? 5 for 5. Matt Verling made old Notre Dame happy tonight, didn't he? Best game as a Philly, right? Would you guys consider that best game as a Philly? Yep. Edge of Philly Sports says, hopefully they build off of this. This is how these things get started, EOP. This is how you turn the bleakest and darkest of times into a World Series championship. Now, I am not going from 0 to 1,000. I still think there are some serious offensive fundamental issues with this team. They still left a crap ton of runners on base tonight, and they still struck out a crap ton of times. So many times, folks. Are you ready for this? Now the Phillies in 2022 have eclipsed and gone over 1,200 team strikeouts this year. So the Phillies as a team have struck out over 1,200 times in 140, was it 9 games now? Or 8? 148 games. Simply amazing stuff that definitely needs to be figured out. That and the runners left in scoring position need to be figured out. But for their credit, especially in that 8th inning, when all hope looked lost, 2 outs, they got a rally, 4 straight hits, able to tie the game when nobody thought that was happening. I was getting ready to go to bed. I was falling asleep on the couch, and all of a sudden it started. So, yeah, I mean, this is where these things kind of start from. Are we bringing Sir Anthony again? I don't really know what you mean. Are we bringing them where? the AAA. I mean, I think this might be where he might need to head. Edge of Philly says pitching is scaring me. Yeah, it's all right. Last time I checked, it's baseball one and they have two runners on with one out late in the game. You bunt the runners over, then sack fly run home. But what this team do? Schwarber grounds out Hoskins and Harper K. Good night on your dreams of a wild card. Ah, this must be the Phillies fan of the year here. Um, they won the game. No one's sitting up here telling you, Robert, that this team is fundamentally sound. They're not. This is not what this is. This is the team that's won 81 games now, and that, like it or not, for a lot of people, they're going to the playoffs. I mean, I just think mathematically, if laws of physics here, uh, you know, yeah, they're going. I'm not saying they're winning a World Series, and God knows I'm not confident that they're going to get past the first round, but they're going to go. And you're right. This team does not seem to understand fundamental offensive baseball. Uh, but that eighth inning tonight, that one inning or half an inning of work, especially when there was two outs, and they were able to call out four straight small ball type baseball plays and get this thing tied. Um, you know, I'm okay with that. That's how you do this, and that's what this team has been lacking lately. A lot lacking lately. So I'm gonna take it, man. I'm gonna take it where I can get it, baby. Verling 5 for 5 in the win. Bottom of the order is producing. But what's going on with the top of the order there, EOP? What's going on with your 1, 2, and 3 hitters who might be right now some of the worst hitters in all of Major League Baseball with Kyle Schwarber, Reese Hoskins, and JT, or not JT, Bryce Harper? What is going on with the 1, 2, and 3 um, part of this lineup? It's amazing how just clueless those three are right now at the plate. Blue Jays a bit sloppy also. Yep, they committed a couple errors tonight. But again, how many times have we given up errors and teams have taken advantage? I'm not going to sit here and complain about that. It's part of the game. You deal with it. The Phillies also kind of almost gave this game away with that boneheaded Bryson Stott play on the doubleheader where the runner fell out of the box. I think it scared everybody in the field. They didn't know what to do when the runner falls down, and it just kind of got the play all wonky. So they did look sloppy, but I'm going to take it. Harper's in his own head. Are you sure he's not still at the link with his Eagles hat on, celebrating the game? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Harper right now. I really don't. And it's concerning because we need him. If anybody, if there's one player on this team that we need, it's Bryce Harper. And right now, he is just not. He never returned from the IL. He's still in Lehigh. Actually, I don't know because he's not been playing well at all since he's been back. Walter says, I am a fan of the bunt. Start with a good bunt. I also believe in the safety squeeze, which doesn't happen very often. See, Walter, you're talking about some old school baseball plays. I honestly, in that situation, in the beginning of extra innings, bunting over the runner at third or at second, I don't know. I understand the value of it because then you put a runner in scoring position, fly out, wins the game. But when you're dealing with a team like the Phillies, and you're dealing with a team that fundamentally does not execute plays too well, to me it would scare the hell out of me of a pop up double play, or a strikeout bunt. I don't feel confident in this team executing plays like that, but they did it tonight, and they did it perfectly, and they got the runner over. Eventually, got the runner in. So, kudos to Bryson Stott. It was a great play. Can Alvarado pitch 2 innings? If you effectively, no, but he can pitch 2 innings. Yes. Dave's doing his laundry, listening to Matty B tonight. Good extra innings win for the Phils. Here's come the Braves. Should be interesting. Yep. And don't forget, Dave, delegates cold water and cold water only. Let's not forget about Guthrie, too. Yeah, Guthrie. Um, you know, the poise that it took for that young man in that situation that he came up there in extra innings and worked that walk. Uh, that was something that, and I'm going to use a player that was up here earlier this season, Derek Hall, never showed. Derek Hall never showed that big game poise. He kind of seemed scared in the moment, but tonight, Guthrie was not scared in the moment. I mean, he was up at that plate very confident. Didn't look like a deer lost in the headlights. Was looking for his pitch and wasn't going to swing at anything other than his pitch. And that's a confident hitter, and that's what you want up there. Win, lose, or draw. That's what you want. You want a guy that's going to battle. You just don't want somebody up there that's praying to God that something's thrown in his direction, but he's actually looking for his pitch. It was a very underestimated moment in the game. Actually, if you ask me, Jacobo says definitely need middle relief. Got nothing there. I'm going to talk about everything here in a second as we move through this. Matt is player of the game. Oh, me? I'm the player of the game. Star Wars 99. Hey, I appreciate that, man. I didn't play tonight, but dude, I'll take it. No, I think I know what you mean. Matt Verling. He is my offensive player of the game as well. Well deserved 5 for 5. First 5 hit night or a game of his life or as a major leaguer. Schwarber with the important RBI single tonight. Yeah, and did you see how pumped up he was? I don't know if he was pumped up for the hit or if he was pumped up because he got back to first base without getting thrown out. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was a combination of both. But Kyle Schwarber, he needs something right now, right? He needed a little lift, and he needed something that hasn't been going his way lately. And to see him get an RBI on something other than a home run was definitely very, very, very encouraging. Still not enough from him, especially sitting up in that leadoff spot. If there's one thing that comes out of this season, there's one thing that comes out of this season. We identify the fact that we need a true leadoff hitter, and I don't care how Schwarber feels comfortable leading off or what he feels comfortable at all in the lineup. We need a leadoff hitter, uh, hopefully that is the one thing that comes out of the season on the positive side. As we get to Clearwater this spring, we actually have a leadoff hitter. But definitely, he was pumped. He was pumped. There seemed to be people at the stadium tonight. That's an amazing thing. And yeah, it was a good moment. It was a great moment. Jacobo says Hall was feast or famine. You know what? Yeah, but Jacobo, so was Reese Hoskins, so was Bryce Harper lately, and so was Kyle Schwarber, and so was Nick Castellanos when he was here. They all are feast and famine. You know, Derek Hall was feast or famine, but he was also. Did you see his eyes? Especially it was in that Mets game where he came up with an opportunity to get a hit late or keep the game alive. It was that game where the Phillies were up. That Sunday game where they were up. The Mets came back. The Phillies then went up late, and Gene Segura 2-run homer. But Derek Hall had an opportunity in the bottom of the ninth as the Phillies were battling Diaz. I remember him up at the plate, and I remember looking into his eyes thinking, this guy's scared to death. This guy is scared to death right now, this moment. That's not the look I saw in Guthrie's eyes. I saw confidence. I saw like a killer's look. I saw like, you know what, you're going to throw me what I want, or I am not going to hit. I'm not going to swing. So there's a difference between feast or famine and looking like you're out of your element, and that was what Derek Hall did in those types of big moments. And I use Derek Hall as kind of a just a young player like like Guthrie to kind of comparison or compare and contrast whatever. Derek Hall was outstanding when he was here when he was hitting home run machine, but we need more than that, right? We need a guy that can come up there late innings, do what Guthrie did, work a walk, work something for his own benefit, work his pitch. And Derek Hall was never like that. I mean, and I'm not saying he's alone. I mean, a lot of Phillies hitters are like that. And he struck out at the end of the game. Yep, matter of fact, I think he was the last out in that Mets game. So great win tonight by the Phillies. Let's go ahead and check that out town scoreboard real quick to kind of update everybody. It's kind of late in the evening here on this Wednesday night, or is it Thursday? Wednesday. Let's go check around Major League Baseball, the games that do apply to your Phillies. Here's the first big one in the bottom of the sixth right now in San Diego. The Padres are leading the Cardinals 1-0. If the Padres do lose that game, the Phillies' magic number will then decrease another game down to 10, and they will. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's not what will happen. It's actually the Brewers game. It's right because we're chasing the Padres now. My bad, but we're still chasing the Padres. If the Padres lose, we'll go to within a half a game of that second wild card spot. Earlier tonight, the Nationals beat the Braves 3-2, and of course, the Brewers beat the Mets 6-0. I never thought I'd be upset to see the Mets win or Mets lose, but I am. I need the Mets to win now. So it's kind of weird how that's kind of turned around on me. And that's pretty much all the games right now that is at any interest to your Phillies as they are pushing for that final playoff spot in the East or that final wild card spot in the NL. And let's address the pitching question that was posed to me earlier about, that we need some middle relief. Yes, we certainly do. We're dealing with a combination of tired arms, fatigue, and, the resurgence of the bullpen. But if you factor all this in holistically, folks, if you look at the bullpen right now with the additions of Zach Eflin and Syndergaard, And if you look at the starting rotation, granted, it's a little up in the air, but with Zach Wheeler coming back tonight, definitely is a shot in the arm or push in the right direction. There's been one constant to this team all season long on the positive side of things, and that's been the pitching. I know it's kind of dipped a little bit, but you're going to get that through 162 games. You're going to get those games where they just are not there. It's been a little bit more than a couple games. It's been a sustained period of time from that game on August 29th against the Pirates up till now. The pitching has not been there, but every game prior to that, they were there. But the pitching has always done enough, in my opinion, to keep this team around. It's been the offense that has let this team down time in and time again this season. And that is really where it comes down to it, folks. If this team could figure out, and I said this early in the season, and I used to say this all the way, I stopped saying it recently, but I used to say it every night. If somebody could figure out how to unlock the potential of this lineup when it comes to hitting home runs and moving runners over, this team would be unstoppable, and nobody has done that yet. And they play this frustrating, um, just mind-boggling game that they put runners on at record amounts of clips. I think they're averaging 8 hits a game, which is amazing. But they're just not able to score runs, or they're not able to get that hit. Pitching is what pitching is right now, and pitching does win you championships. And right now, if you look at the pitching of the Phillies versus every other team that's potentially going to make the playoffs, I'm okay with the way the Phillies pitching is. I really am. I think they have enough. It's when it's for the Phillies in this case this season, it's going to come down to what the hell happens with this offense. What Kyle Schwarber is going to be like in the playoffs. What Bryce Harper is going to be like. What Reese Hoskins is going to be like. Don't forget, in all these, it's a great feeling to get to this point. But once we get past the threshold, or we step over that threshold, and if we do make the playoffs, most of these players have never played in the playoffs before, with the exception, of course, Kyle Schwarber, he won a World Series. But what are we going to get from them? Is the moment going to be too big for them? Is Bryce Harper going to be up there thinking he's swinging with a tree and trying to overcompensate everything? Is Reese Hoskins going to pull it together? I mean, there's a big unknown about what this offense has been all season long, and there's a bigger unknown about what this offense is going to be like in the playoffs. But tonight was a big step in the right direction. Tonight was the Phillies showing us that they can hang with the upper crust teams in the major leagues. We know they can beat the lower crust teams. We've seen that. But now we need to see more. And that is for them to beat the bigger, badder teams in this league. And tonight, the way they went out and came back after I had cast them off and said, you know what, this game is over. Let me get my latest bash fest ready. But to come back and battle back and win in extra innings 4-3, they shouldn't have won that game. Come on, they shouldn't have. But they did, and they battled. Got to give credit where credit's due, and even old Matty B's got to do that from time to time. I got to swallow my pride and be like, you know what, that was a good win. I still have some issues, obviously, with this team, and you should too, because they're not a complete product, and they're not going to be one this year. But we can hopefully get hot, and maybe this is the beginning of it. Maybe this is the beginning of a hot streak that might carry us all the way to Halloween. Who knows? But if we can get hot at the right time of the season, you never know what's going to happen. So hopefully tonight is that right time, that time of season, folks. That is going to do it for me tonight. Let me go ahead and pay some bills on EOP right now. This is our schedule. There's way too much of this stuff for me to read. Just let you know that today was Philly Press Box Radio, and then the EOP flagship show, Edge of Philly Live, and of course me with the Phigtins Final with the Blue Jays tomorrow. Don't forget at 7 p.m. the Birds IQ podcast with our boy Kyle Quinn, the round mound, the attacking, and then me that had the Phigtins Final, talking some Phillies and Braves at our Phillies and Braves tomorrow night after they get their series kicked off. And by the way, speaking of the Phillies and Braves, tomorrow at the bank, Max Fried. Here we go. I mean, is it the Sandy Alcantara thing? I mean, how many times have we got to see Max Fried in one season? Max Fried will get the nod for the Braves. He is 13-6 with that gaudy ass 2.52 ERA, and Ranger Suarez will oppose him at 9-5, 3.53 ERA. 7:15 is the first pitch down there at the bank. Don't forget Dolan's Bar, the most Delco bar this side of Delco. Make sure you go ahead and check them out and check this guy out if things kind of go a little sideways for you. Workman's compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, criminal law. Dave Cherry, 610-565-0300 is the man to call. Folks, until we talk again tomorrow after the Phillies and Braves, I got one thing to say. Actually, you know what? I think I'm done. Yep, am I done? Oh, no, I'm not. Harry the K, what you got?